Gentlemen and female gentlemen, the transgender movement is 110% cooked. We have reached potentially a crazy level of cooked no one has seen before. Now, in case you are not up to date, Donald Trump, orange man, so orange, so big, won all 7 swing states. He's the president of the United States. Literally his first day in office, he was like, dog, 2 genders. Second day, dog, no more trans people in female sports. And it's been a very bad couple of months for the entire goddamn movement. So Brett Cooper made a video talking about the growing regret among trans teens. I think specifically talking about a lot of the insanity that comes with children doing sex change surgeries, which I think should have never, ever been legalized, ever. If a child can't consent to get a tattoo, a child shouldn't be able to consent to cut their dick off. Actually insane shit. Like, holy fuck, unhinged, abusive levels of insane shit. But anyway, that's just my random cancelable take of the day. I would like to tell you something that I think is very, very prudent and important. The number one reason why the transgender movement is fucking getting cooked right now is because of transgender activists. They are some of the most insufferable people on the planet. Not like the random transgender fellow that just wants to, you know, live their best life and do whatever they want with their life and whatever and doesn't bother anybody. Literally no one cares about those people. I don't mean that in a bad way, I mean that in a good way. Because the less people that care about me, the better my life is. So I mean, with love in my heart, I don't care about you at all. That's wonderful. But the fucking activist people, the ones that go out there, walking around the streets with their balls hanging out in front of children, dog, miss me with that bullshit. Going in prisons when you have, you know, male to female trans people in female prisons, and then all of their prison roommates end up pregnant somehow. Like, come on, dude. What the fuck is happening? So anyway, now that the movement is completely cooked because of some of the most insufferable, illogical people on the planet, I guess we have to have a good time laughing at their downfall. We laugh at all downfalls on this channel. Equality downfall, all right? All downfalls are treated equally. This isn't being transphobic. Okay, maybe it is, but the point that I'm trying to make is I would laugh at anyone's downfall, okay?
So last week, I basically did my longest ever video in the history of Brett Cooper videos. I did a recap on Trump's first month in office, and a huge portion of that video was talking about his executive orders. I think he has signed more executive orders in this first month than any president in history, and as you guys saw, I am a huge fan of basically all of them. But within the
his executive orders have been, he's been cooking.
This slew of executive orders with wide-ranging topics, there were 4 that addressed transgenderism, and I want to talk about those specifically today. Well, not just them in general, but about one issue in particular. And those executive orders, you know, he did one that established that the United States only has 2 genders, which, you know, it's a shock that even has to be established. He's also doing what he can to ban men from competing in women's sports. He is now...
Okay, that I think is my favorite example of, you're retarded if you don't agree. That is my favorite example of you are literally proving to the world that you are a retard if you don't agree. So there are definitely shades of gray with a lot of discussions, all right? And I could generally see both sides even when I am more inclined to believe in one. Like, when someone is gonna tell me, like, I believe in socialism instead of capitalism or whatever, I'll be like, you know what? I hear where you're coming from, but socialism doesn't work. That would be my response, all right? But I at least hear where you're coming from. I'm gonna piss off so many people in my fucking audience. That's just my opinion, okay? But dog, trans women in female sports, like, you are literally biologically designed to beat the fuck out of them. How is that appropriate in any possible way? And honestly, I think even most leftists agree with this. I think most trans people even agree with this. I just think it's the vocal minority screaming retards on Twitter cesspits farming likes off each other, and those are the people that fucked it for everyone else. That's my opinion.
Now keeping transgender members out of the military, and lastly, he cut federal funding for the chemical and...
Ooh, I didn't realize that was a whole separate, executive order keeping trans people out of the military. Well, the truth is, sad as it is, the suicide rate for trans people is astronomically high. You can blame a million reasons for it, but ultimately you don't want people in the most stressful position in the world, literally being in the military. You don't want those people to have any possible extra reason for them to inflict self-harm. Someone in my chat just said, I'm a trans woman, I don't care for sports, and I understand biology. I'm telling you, I think 90% of trans people are against, you know, trans men and women's sports, whatever.
Surgical mutilation of children, and that is what I want to—
Yeah, that's shocking that was ever allowed. That is one of those things that, again, shocking it was ever allowed. You have a child that can't consent to sex, can't consent to tattoos, can't consent to fucking anything, but they could say, I want my cock chopped off, and that'll happen. Like, that is insane. And my favorite thing, dude, this is literally my favorite thing ever. Every time this topic comes up in a debate, the leftist in the debate that's supposed to be arguing for pro-sex changes on children, the first thing that they say is, how often does that really happen? And the answer is, it only happened like a few times in the entire United States. It doesn't matter, okay? You are putting into law that you can cut the dicks off children, okay? What the fuck are you talking about? The correct answer should be 0. If it's any more than 0, then the country failed. And I hate that debate tactic because it's so slimy. It's like, how often did it happen? It doesn't matter, retard.
Focus on today. And obviously, there was outrage over every single one of these 4 executive orders.
Yeah, I love outrage. I love outrage. Outrage is fun. Outrage is based. We take them. Angry people. They make me alive. God, I love angry people.
Unlikely as Congress stands right now that any of these will be passed as bills, even though I would love them to, considering that every single Democrat in Congress voted against passing a bill that would keep men out of women's sports just last week. And I want you to hear that again. Every single Democrat. And that issue specifically, as we discussed last week, is not even controversial. Studies have shown that 70% of Americans on a baseline believe that men, biological men, should not compete against women.
I think it's more than 70%. I just think that there's another 10% that are scared to say it because then they won't feel like an ally. That's my opinion. I really believe that. I think that there's so much like generalizing and social programming that makes you feel like you're an enemy to the people. You clearly don't care about other people's struggles and shit like that. And those guys are fucking retarded. I'm sorry. Stop being a pussy. Don't be a bitch. Say what you think. It doesn't matter. So someone on Twitter is gonna be angry at you. Boo fucking who? Get a life.
And these people that are in Congress that are supposed to represent us, that are supposed to represent that 70%, overwhelmingly, every single one of them voted no. So I think that just kind of gives you an overview of where our government stands right now. And so what needs to change in order to push any of these bills through to make these into law so that they can't just be undone by another president 4 years from now? Well, in my opinion, people need to be hit in the face with the facts about these procedures and the lasting effects that they have on people, specifically on developing minds, specifically on American children. And the thing is, changing people's minds on this is not an impossible feat. It is happening in countries around the world, just not here in America. Now, in this episode—
See, the thing is, changing people's minds in general is difficult because I think most people don't want their opinions to change. They don't want to admit fault. They want to just be on the right side of history and just keep coasting. But I think that the only solution is making fun of them. Yes, public humiliation. That's the solution. If someone says that they think that trans women should be fighting in female sports, you look at them like a retard and you say, wow, I just lost all respect for you. And they'll say, why? And you'll say, because you're a retard. And they'll say, explain. And you'll be like, I shouldn't have to explain. You're just that retarded. And they'll feel so shitty about themselves that other people won't want to get treated in that same way. Public humiliation. I do what other people wouldn't do. Other people would say, freedom of speech, you have to have a debate, discuss ideas, the greater ideas will win and prevail. Nah, fuck that shit. People don't want to hear the better ideas. People are too pussy to actually admit when they're wrong. Nah. You humiliate them with better ideas. That's the Nux approach. Definitely subscribe for more humiliation rituals.
I'm going to be joined by my good friend Chloe Cole, and we're going to talk about why America is so ridiculously behind on this issue. We're also going to break down the recent bombshell studies that should horrify Americans and jolt our government into action if they weren't so cucked by their own freaking flawed ideology.
All right.
But before we get into all of that, make sure that you like this video if you enjoy it and subscribe to the channel and ring that notification bell if you want to stay up to date on every single episode. I also want to remind you guys that this is the last week to buy my exclusive launch merch. This week also had Detransitioner Awareness Day. It was actually just yesterday. And Chloe, who is a detransitioner and who you will hear from in just a couple of minutes, among a few others, traveled to DC for an entire week of meeting.
Detrans Awareness Day? I never even heard of this.
And events to share their stories and advocate for the protection of children and for the support that their community so desperately needs, that they're not getting from our government, from society, and most importantly and horrifyingly, not from the medical community. And this
Oh my god, it's insanity. If anyone has the right to do whatever they want with their body, then everyone should have the right to do whatever they want to detrans with their body. I don't understand. Like, how is this even a debate? It just shows the blatant hypocrisy. Like, if you believe that someone has the right to change genders and all that stuff, then how do they not have the right to change back? Like, what is happening? Why ostracize these people? What gives them less rights than anyone else?
This is obviously especially important because of the legislation that Trump and the Republican Congress want to pass, but also because of what is happening around the world. And that is why this week is why I wanted to talk about this today. I mean, guys, what I want you to know is that countries that are far more progressive than us, that were actually at the forefront of this issue many years ago, pushing this entire ideology, are now scaling back and realizing that it has been taken too far. That these awful experimental procedures and surgeries are actually...
I mean, dude, the moment you're not able to, like, answer the what is a woman question is the moment you know that you're fucking cooked. Like, I know this isn't like a hot take for a lot of people, but like, when you are so scared of internet backlash that you can't answer like the most basic bitch shit in the universe, like, what are you even talking about? Like, come on, dude.
Not that great and not doing what they were promised. And this is on full display in the UK. And guys, it is just so gratifying to see the scientists and the academics and the experts finally hold themselves accountable after so many years and acknowledge their own biases through these studies, through their reports, which is something that you would see regularly if you were a student at Peterson Academy. And if you are not up to date on the best new academic platform out there, Peterson Academy is Jordan.
Yep.
Now, the latest bombshell example of this accountability, of this self-awareness, of finally being honest about these procedures, came out just a couple of weeks ago through the Oxford Journal. They released their findings after studying over 107,000 patients with gender dysphoria and found that, yes, unequivocally, those who underwent sex change surgeries, who went through with the entire medical procedures of transitioning, faced higher risks of depression, anxiety, suicidal ideation, and substance abuse after undergoing those procedures. And this was released just on February.
Unfortunately, everyone knows this. Unfortunately, this is very public knowledge. And it's really, really sad. Honestly, it's super, super duper sad.
February 25th, 2025. And more specifically, this study found that males with gender transition surgery were 120% more likely to have depression and
100 and I thought it would be like, 30 more percent. 120 more percent likely? Holy shit.
188% likelier to have anxiety than males who have gender dysphoria.
388%? Holy shit.
Without surgery.
How is this not like public knowledge? Does it just hurt the message? Are you not being progressive enough if you say actual statistics?
Intervention. Gender dysphoric females were 56% likelier to have depression and 48% likelier to have anxiety if they had undergone gender transition surgery. So obviously it is still an increase, but those numbers for men who underwent these surgeries, that is shocking. And obviously, as you saw, there is an increase for women, but that dramatic increase for men, that is horrifying. And for anybody who...
I mean, yeah, that's about how cooked Hassan Piker is on my channel.
Has been paying attention over the last couple of years, who has been following and advocating for this issue, those numbers probably don't shock us at all. I mean, I saw this report come out.
No, that's a shocking number. I haven't really been... I don't know. I'm not a big statistic guy. But damn, that's crazy.
Like, of course.
Literally 4 times the likelihood of anxiety.
The numbers increased. Obviously, that is common sense because these surgeries and these procedures, they are a band-aid situation. They will never address the root problem. And so, of course, there are going to be higher risks of depression and anxiety. And it's not just common sense that should tell us this. There are other studies like this. I mean, last year, a Finnish study found that patients who proceeded to gender-affirming treatments did not have a reduction in mental crises or suicidal ideation. That came out February 16th of 2024. They also found that usually, there were underlying mental health issues that needed to be addressed in addition to gender dysphoria that might have caused a gender dysphoria. In 2019, this is another crazy example. A Swedish study was done. This is a study that is now very well referenced in the LGBTQ community, and they found a decrease in mental health treatment after medically transitioning. But guys, less than a year after that report came out, that study, that key study that was now referenced everywhere, that was used to push this issue forward, shoved in our faces, was officially corrected. It was reanalyzed.
No, stop. Honestly, whenever I see this shit, it's like, these are supposed to be doctors and scientists, all right? Like, are they really fighting for the good of the people at this point, or are they fighting for the good of the message? That is despicable. No evidence of gender-affirming surgeries improving mental health. Dude, when the doctors became activists, you know you fucking lost the country. How is that possible? Holy shit. It's evil. It's straight up evil.
The American Journal of Psychiatry came in and clarified that, quote, the results of the reanalysis demonstrated no advantage of surgery in relation to subsequent mood or anxiety disorder-related healthcare visits or prescriptions or hospitalizations following suicide attempts. I mean, that is crazy. Again, 9 months later. Then, in 2024, an American study was finally released, because all of this was done overseas, that also confirmed all of this. But their sample size was only of 1,500 patients, so obviously it did not get the attention or the credibility that it probably deserved.
That's
so basically,
crazy.
we, on the common sense side of this issue, and all of the researchers, have been saying this for years. We have been sounding the alarms. People like Chloe Cole, like Riley Gaines, have been sounding the alarms. But this new study from the Oxford Journal, with its magnitude, with its scope, with its size, and its damning outcomes.
Yeah, no, this is huge. It's massive. This is a absolutely massive bombshell discovery. And I think it's important for everyone to know these statistics. Uncomfortable as it is to hear, it's the reality of the situation. And realistically, the idea of having a child, especially, like, it's just mind-boggling. If you wanna do whatever the fuck you wanna do with your life when you're an adult, honestly, it's none of my business. You do whatever the fuck you want. But like, when it's a child that can't consent to fucking anything, they can't drink, bro. They can't drink, they can't drive, they can't vote, they can't get a tattoo, but they could do this shit, like literally bungle their life up. It's fucking crazy.
Pretty hard to refute. And my good friend Chloe, who you guys probably know is a teen detransitioner who started puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones at age 13, who then...
That's insane. That's insane. Oh my God. That is so bullshit. It's incredible. It reminds me of the Neil deGrasse Tyson clip. I don't know if I'll find it. Don't know if I could find it. But he had like this wild clip.
Okay.
Where he basically would talk about how, you know, men and women are equal in sports and equal in everything. And dude, look at this shit. It's so disappointing, because this guy's an astrophysicist, okay? He's supposed to know better. He's the science guy, all right?
Scientific American. The magazine. I remember when it was around when I was
grew up with it, yeah.
Grew up with it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, their editor had to quit. You saw this.
Yeah, I heard about it because she expressed some opinions, right? Yeah.
Okay, sure, but it sure didn't sound scientific. It didn't sound like the person I would want to be running Scientific American.
Okay.
It was a rant on Twitter. Okay, I could read it to you. It's really ugly. You know, I apologize to younger voters that my Gen X is so full of fucking fascists. Okay, I'm not.
Okay, I'm not a gasket right there.
I'm not for.
All right, yeah.
I'm not for canceling anybody on either side.
Yeah.
So But here's what I think is the scandal.
What?
This is in Scientific American.
Yeah.
Yep.
Less than a year ago. Inequity between male and female athletes is the result not of inherent biological differences between the sexes, but of biases in how they are treated in sports.
Is that not fucking insane that was even an article? That was a guy, an editor for Scientific American, wrote how it's society is the difference between men and women in sports, not biology? Like, what the fuck? How is the plot lost so badly? He's a libtard, bro. The libtards thinks that's insane.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
And it sure ain't scientific, and it's in Scientific American. And that's why the Democrats lost the election. It's true.
He's right. He's literally right. Because somehow the Democrats, they're driving blind.
Bill, every 20 minutes on your platform, you come up with another reason why the Democrats lost. No. You already have the answer. They lost the election. So anything you say is why they did it.
First of all, you don't watch this show, so you don't know that. I know you don't, and it's okay. But you talk as if you do, and you fucking don't. And that's okay. Just don't bullshit me. That's the one thing people can't ever do on this show is bullshit me. And that's fine. But I don't say that. I have very good reasons. But engage with the idea here. What I'm asking is Scientific American.
He's asking a astrophysicist, very, very respected scientist, all right? Get ready.
Is saying basically that the reason why an WNBA team can't beat the Lakers is because of societal bias.
What you're saying is not Scientific American says that. An editor for Scientific American says that, who no longer has the job. So don't indict a 170-year-old magazine because somebody...
Okay, this is Scientific American. They're printing something
that someone enters the cesspool that is social media and then participates in that exchange.
Bro, what are you talking
why can't
about?
You
Talk about science.
Why can't you just say this is not scientific and Scientific American should do better?
Yeah.
Well, does she still have her job?
No, not because of this. I said the scandal is not her tweet. The scandal...
Because that was like a year ago, was it? Which one was a year ago?
Is he insane? He's like insane.
I think a year ago, women still couldn't beat men in basketball or any other sport. And
Bro.
it wasn't because of society. You don't see a
By the
problem
way,
here?
long-distance swimming, women might actually have...
Stop
You can look into that. Yeah.
Maybe long-distance swimming,
Yeah.
yes. Okay.
Yeah. Just, I've looked into
Do you see how frustrated this guy is?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's looked into it. He's so frustrated. Here he is, talking to a world-acclaimed scientist. All right, this is an actual world-acclaimed scientist, an astrophysicist, an alleged genius, all right? Actual expert, scientific piece of shit. And he's so fucking pussy-whipped that he can't say that men could beat women at fucking basketball. Like, that is why the Democrats lost the election. I agree, because they're driving blind. You can have 4 PhDs and still be dumb? I don't think this is dumb. I think he absolutely knows that men would absolutely obliterate women in these sports. I think he's just too much of a pussy to say it. Unbelievable. Didn't want to disagree with the overlords running America.
Then underwent a double mastectomy at age 15, agreed with all of this, and she came on the show to share the validation that a study like this brings to her and her entire community.
I mean, it really affirms, like, not only my own experiences with going through the entirety of transition, especially the surgery, but also that of all of my other detransition friends who've also had these surgeries and these other individuals who've reached out to me and have gone through them. It's almost kind of vindicating that there are studies now that are showing the harms of what these surgeries do, not only physically, but also psychologically. And it really takes down this narrative that these surgeries are beneficial to the patient, that they create better outcomes for mental health and overall quality of life.
And I wanted Chloe to come
It's kind of weird, because every time I hear about people detransitioning, they get like an insane amount of hate from the trans community online. And I'll be real here, the trans community online is vicious. The tolerant left are not actually that tolerant, it turns out. Like, those guys are mega intense. But it's insane to me that someone makes a decision of what they want to do with their body, detransition, and the fucking Twitter cult goes after them. It's insanity.
on, and I wanted you guys to hear her story and continue hearing her story because it tells you why these studies, why all of these reports are so vital. Because parents are literally...
And honestly, all those people that are losing their shit attacking people when they either detransition or they're being an ist or a phobe by accident, they misgender someone by accident and they get canceled on Twitter. Those Twitter activists are the ones that are fucking torpedoing their entire cause. Because no one wants to deal with them. Literally, no one gives a shit about them if they're going to treat you like shit. I treat people the way I want to be treated. And if you're not willing to treat me well, then I don't give a flying fuck about you.
Told that their gender dysphoric children will die if their parents do not help them transition. Many parents are threatened.
Right? That's the argument that they use, that the suicide rate of people goes up when they're transgender. So therefore, unless you let your child transition, the suicide rate is going to go higher. Literally emotionally blackmailing parents, dangling threats of suicide over their heads so that they can tell their kids to transition while they're children. And it turns out that the studies show that it literally didn't even help the suicide rates. It doesn't even help depression and anxiety rates, even after transition. Despicable shit.
Into agreeing to these experimental procedures purely based on fear and lies from psychiatrists, from doctors, and most importantly, from the media. This is what happened to Chloe Cole and her parents, and it is what famously happened to Elon Musk. This is why he cares so deeply about this issue. Just take a listen.
I was essentially tricked into signing documents for one of my older boys, Xavier. This was before I had really any understanding of what was going on, and that we had COVID going on, and so there was a lot of confusion. And you know, I was told, Xavier might commit suicide if he did.
That was a lie right from the outset.
Oh
Incredibly evil. And I agree with you that people that have been promoting this should go to prison.
It was a complete lie.
Oh my God. That's fucking insane. They went to Elon Musk and they said that if you don't let your child transition and don't sign these papers, then that their suicide rate goes up. And it turns out that transitioning does not help the suicide rate at all. Literally tricked him into signing these papers. Holy fuck. Oh my god. No wonder he fucking hates the woke mob. His child transitioned as a child. Oh my god, dude. It's so crazy to think about this shit.
They literally said, you must agree to this because your son will commit suicide if you don't. I mean,
like, unbelievable emotional blackmail.
Imagine putting that in front of a parent. Obviously, parents are going to go along with it. They're not going to think that it's a lie because why would doctors tell them a lie? Why would they use fear to push an experimental procedure on this innocent child? So I want you guys to know that because when you hear the media freaking out.
That's why, I mean, there's so much of this. Once it enters the realm of politics and like social discussions, it loses science. The reason why I showed you the Neil deGrasse Tyson clip is because that Neil deGrasse Tyson clip is indicative of the entire issue. The fact that you have scientists literally tongue-tied, and afraid to say basic biological truths because they might offend the wrong people. Oh my god, that's fucking awful.
That Trump is killing trans children, that he's doing all of this legislation that will kill trans people, that gender-affirming care is actually keeping trans people alive. I want you all to know that all of that is based on a lie. That is what these reports are telling us. So when you see headlines like this from the ACLU, doctors agree, gender-affirming care is life-saving care. This is from USA Today. Gender-affirming care is life-saving, research says. Why is it so controversial? Well, it's controversial because the science isn't really on your side. You might have a couple of doctors that are on board, but it is objectively, scientifically controversial. Like, the jury has been out. We are now getting to an objective solution. I have my opinions on it, but there is now becoming more of a consensus. It objectively has...
It's shocking that it got this far. And it literally only got this far because of the social peer pressure. That is the only reason it got here. There is no other way.
Controversial because you guys have been telling lies. So gender-affirming care saves lives is really an emotional fallacy that makes us easy, that makes parents and children easy to control and manipulate without having all of the facts.
Crazy.
And so again,
Holy
I have
crap.
empathy for these parents. It makes sense that so many parents would hear this from doctors, from the media, from specialists, and be terrified for their kids and go, oh my gosh, I will do anything that it takes to keep my child from dying. I mean, who wouldn't do anything
Obviously.
to protect their child? But this is anything but protection. I mean, protecting your kids is being proactive. It is caring about their holistic health from the beginning, which you can even start at home with their diet and lifestyle.
Oh my
And
god! No way! Dude, she is so good at those ad reads. Oh my god, they just pop out of nowhere.
Huge the sample size is, and it should be eye-opening for people around the world. They are still, in my opinion, missing a huge piece of the puzzle. Because at the end of the day, if you read these reports, if you read these surveys, and then you get to their conclusions are still flawed. Like, the way that they interpret this issue, the way that they interpret the data and propose a solution is still dictated by their emotional ideology and this idea that we have to affirm, we have to affirm. For example, in that 2024 Curious study that was done in the States with a very small sample size, their conclusion found that patients who have undergone gender-affirming surgery are associated with significantly elevated risk of suicide, highlighting the necessity for comprehensive post-procedure psychiatric support.
Wait, so the way I understood it, oh my god, the way I understood it was the surgery doesn't help the risk of suicide. According to the conclusion of this study, it makes it worse. Oh my fucking god, it's insane. And they have kids do this? They let kids do this? What is going on? How on earth was this? This is the biggest medical scandal in history. Letting kids transition? Holy fuck.
Here we go, another one. In the Oxford Journal, this most recent one, they concluded that gender-affirming surgery, while beneficial in affirming gender identity, they're still propelling this lie that it's very good, we're affirming, that's very good, we're affirming, is associated with increased risk of mental health issues, underscoring the need for ongoing gender-sensitive mental health support for transgender individuals post-surgery. This is where the science and the protocol is still inherently flawed. I mean, we have all of these studies saying the same thing, that these risks are increased, that the surgeries do not...
Oh my god, dude. And there's more and more and more studies that show that there is an elevated risk. That's crazy. It's insanity. An elevated risk for the highest risk group. Yeah, literally. I mean, literally. Oh my god. Insanity.
actually do anything but make the situations worse. And their response is not to address these experimental irreversible procedures that are obviously not working, but to say that they need more support after going through these surgeries that just clearly do not work, which in a way is still true, and we're going to get to that, but that is not the real pressing issue at hand, as Chloe said.
I guess the culture around these studies and the research around this was more focused on prevention of cases like mine, prevention of regret, and mitigation.
What? Why would doctors try to prevent people from regretting transitioning? If someone regrets it and they want to transition back or detransition, then let them. Like, why is that any worse than the original transition? I'm so confused. It really does feel like there was some kind of agenda to make this as mainstream as possible, and it's wild. Holy shit.
Mitigating the risk of detransition as much as possible.
But this, of course, also doesn't have to be exclusive, because in her mind, in Chloe's mind, there should be a more holistic approach. From when the patient comes in with gender dysphoria, with confusion over their bodies and their gender, and even after medical treatments, if they end up going through with it, like she did at 15 years old, because in her experience, after her surgery, when she started experiencing—
Wait, she did her surgery when she was 15?
At 15 years old, bodies and their gender, and even after medical treatments, if they end up going through with it, like she did at 15 years old.
Oh my god, this like sickens me to my core. Oh my god, I was hoping for meltdowns, okay? I wanted meltdowns today. This is despicable. Oh my god. Holy shit. A double mastectomy at 15 years old? Like actual sadness. Fake science, for real. She was 18? All right. God damn.
Because in her experience, after her surgery, when she started experiencing regrets and confusion about what she had just done to her body, she received nothing. There was no support.
These researchers, these doctors, these providers don't really ask questions that are geared towards people like me or outcomes like mine of regret, of detransition, of choosing to go out the other way, and of this potentially not being the right path. I certainly was not asked that by my own healthcare providers. I was never followed up with about how I was doing emotionally, really. And when I would talk about my regrets and my negative feelings around the procedures that I'd undergone, especially the surgery, it was kind of treated like it was just a normal outcome, or that it just wasn't significant.
So what I'm trying to communicate here, and what Chloe is saying, is that these studies are correct in a way, that post-surgery care is necessary, and it's appalling that these young people especially are just thrown out into the world with no support when they're dealing with regrets and confusion, but that care, that real care, needs to exist from the get-go. And it needs to be care.
I don't know, man. I feel like it's insane, because kids, especially kids in puberty, like, no one's comfortable in their own body, like, when they're going through puberty. You know, voice drops and shit, and everyone's uncomfortable. Everyone has rashes and pimples and shit. No one's happy. Everyone's uncomfortable in their own body. And actually pushing propaganda on them, more than just letting them transition, it's teaching them and, you know, prodding them towards transitioning. You know? Like, it's wild. It's like so frustrating. It's unbelievable. How do they do this to children? Directing them to transition? Insane.
That is not wholly focused on affirmation, that doesn't just shove them in line for surgery, that again, we now know does not work.
Transgenderism is not an innate characteristic that somebody has. But the further that you look into a patient's personal history, any trauma that they might have, especially stemming from their childhood, any attachment issues, any familial issues. This is something that is completely psychological in nature. And this distress around one's body, around one's sex characteristics, is not just something that occurs in a vacuum. We need to be giving these people real support with their mental health, not telling them that they are something that they aren't, but
I don't know. I think anyone that tells a kid that they are actually another gender and stuff like that, I think those people should literally not have jobs around children. People should not be pushing and prodding kids into any of these categories. It's absolutely mind-boggling that no one's actually done anything about this before. And honestly, again, I think this is another one of those 70-30 issues. It's just, I think that people on the left are too scared to say it because the left is very, very quick about cannibalizing each other. If you even have 1 iota, 5 degrees of a different opinion than they do. They'll eat each other alive. And I think because of that, you know, you end up having it kind of like a 50-50 split in the country, when in reality, I think this is another 70-30 split. I think there's no fucking way, there is no fucking way more than 30% of Americans think that that children should be transitioning and taught to transition. There's no way. There is no way. And how is it possible that this has become the actual school system? How is the school system so woke left focused? How did that happen? Holy shit. I don't know, man. I just wonder where this comes from. You can't just say it's big pharma looking for more ways to make money. There's no way. There's no way they're that evil. Holy shit. Dude, I didn't realize it was this bad.
Also leading them down this path that is going to lead to them being sterilized, losing parts of their health and happiness and their ability to fully live their lives. And we need to be following a more holistic approach that's focused on the overall picture of their lives and their overall health and towards their longevity and their future.
When you hear people like Chloe speak, when you look at these reports, like how is this entire issue controversial? It makes no sense.
No,
I mean, this used to be
Again, this is another one of those things that really honestly should not be controversial. It should not be controversial. Oh my God. I don't know, man.
A psychiatric issue that would be addressed as a psychiatric issue. Now there is just no nuance or even thought of prevention. It is just affirmation of an issue that is usually far deeper.
I mean, I think that for both sexes, it's a matter of psychiatric illness and distress. But for a lot of the women, I'd say that for a good portion of them, it comes from a place of normal pubertal or adolescent or early adulthood distress that just comes with growing up from a girl into a woman. When you look at,
I mean, the fear is that that might be a large portion of people, and I think it's more than that. I think it's so much worse, because on the one hand, aside from the fact that you have like USAID funding transgender mouse surgeries and shit, and all that weird garbage. But think of it this way. You have kids that are going to school literally taught by all far left teachers, because that somehow that became the entire academia industry. The far left teachers are the teachers in school. You get canceled on Twitter if you say anything remotely transphobic or whatever, or if you misgender somebody. You get like this massive applause where everyone, cheers for you and looks up to you if you come out of the closet in some way. I think there really is this social pressure for kids that, let's say, are in school and they are not comfortable in their own body in some way because, they're in puberty and the world is telling them this and calling them stunning and brave. They also want to be stunning and brave, and the teacher pokes and prods and pushes them maybe into somewhere. And apparently, there are a lot of instances where they start going on puberty blockers without even telling the parents. Like, this is like an actual death cult at this point. Insane. Oh my God.
At the personal histories of the men, especially, they tend to have high rates of having been abused in the past, of having familial difficulties. What we actually need to do for these patients is, first of all, to not affirm these issues that they're having with their identity and not lying to their faces about who they are, not letting them believe that.
I don't know. I think until a kid is 18, you should not ever be pushing them towards anything like this. And any drastic change or drastic surgery, especially if it makes the suicide rate worse after transition, you're killing these kids. You're actually killing these kids if you're pushing them towards it. I don't think these discussions should ever be had not before someone's 18. Like, the discussion should just not be on the table.
The issue is their body rather than the issues that they have in their life that are making them feel so negatively about their sex or around these parts of their bodies.
But of course, are those issues ever addressed? Are they talked about in the scope of transgenderism, especially with young people transitioning, especially with young women going through puberty? No, of course not. We're all just supposed to sit back and affirm because that is the virtuous, that is the morally correct thing to do. And if we don't, we are killing these people.
And that's the crazy part. Like, when Trump says, like, no more transitioning for children, like, the trans activists march on City Hall and say that Trump is doing a trans genocide, that he's killing trans people. which is insane. But dude, you want to be called a pro-genocide? That's the move now. It's just telling someone that they're pro-genocide. That's what you do to really get them, really stab them and twist the knife. You just call them a genocidal. What are they gonna say then? No you? Nice try.
It is insane. Now, the thing is, guys, as I said at the beginning of this episode, in other countries, this is not such a crazy idea anymore. Having nuance, focusing on prevention, they have caught up to the science. They're listening to the science. They are seeing the facts, and they have realized.
Like, I don't think you understand how insane it is right now. Like, there's a gym that opened up somewhere that was, it's a women-only gym. They ended up getting to this whole controversy because they wanted a biological woman-only gym where no biological men would be allowed in that gym, right? That is what they had in mind for this gym. Now, I think that any private business has the right to do whatever they want with their private business. That's just my opinion in general. So, guys, welcome to the transgender terrorists. I mean, activists. Replacing all the hand sanitizer with testosterone gel at the biological-only women's gym. Ha-ha! You showed them. You got them, guys. Cooked. And look at how this is discussed in public. So this is a story of a street preacher. All right, I'll show you the clip. This just happened 3 days ago.
What is this? Transgender man pulls a gun on a preacher. Uh-oh. Can I watch this? I just want to make sure that I can watch it. Yeah, it's fine. Okay, all right, let's watch it.
But you need to try less being like somebody you're not and start to humble yourself and be somebody that God made you to be. He didn't make a man to be a woman. He made the man to be a man. He didn't make the woman to be a man. He made the woman to be a woman. What are you going to do? Come attack me now?
I should. Dude.
Hey, man.
What?
It's up to you. If you want to pull that on me, well, God bless you. So you just threatened me with a gun. You just pulled a gun on my face. Man, Lord have mercy on you. I still love you. Even though you pulled a gun on me, I still love you. I still bless you.
God damn.
Oh my God. What is this? This is crazy. How do you do this? You pull a gun, you point at somebody, finger on the trigger. Bro, this should be...
the tolerant left. The mentally sane. Let's go, guys. See, but this is crazy.
Jail time. I'd say this is a 5 or 10 years in jail type thing. Who the fuck pulls a gun out like this and points it at somebody like this? This person should be locked up immediately. Like, yeah, fingers on the trigger. This is crazy. What if the gun was fake? Doesn't matter. Still put him in jail. You point...
It's also not fake, probably.
A gun at somebody, there's no yellow tip on it. It's violent intimidation. Maybe if it wasn't a real gun, it's like 8 years instead of 10. A person like this should not be allowed in society. And every day that they're in society puts everybody else in society at risk.
And honestly, this is daily occurrence, and it's insane. It's insane. Many such cases, as they say. In the words of Donald Trump, many such cases.
How insane this ideology has become. I mean, the United Kingdom and France both put restrictions on transitioning children back in 2022. The UK has now updated their restrictions as of 2024. I would not be surprised if they updated them again after this Oxford Journal study. Between 2020 and 2023, Finland, Norway, and Sweden all also put restrictions on transitioning children, which is hysterical in my opinion, because those three countries, all of these countries, are countries that the left often lauds and celebrates for.
Well, honestly, they flew too close to the sun. I think these are just countries that were celebrated as being incredibly woke and incredibly leftist, and they woked too close to the sun, and their wax wings melted off, and they fell back down to earth. They realized that they butchered a generation of children, and turns out that's how it happens,
Their social welfare systems and their free healthcare and their inclusivity and their safety and their acceptance. And these are the exact countries that are saying, okay, yeah, guys, we kind of took it too far. We need to scale it back. Meanwhile, America, that is supposed to be the beacon of common sense and reality, is still being insane. And so obviously I wanted to ask Chloe her thoughts from personal experience about why she thinks that is.
In the United States, we're a lot more politically motivated. We're a lot more financially motivated. And those are the two biggest things that are why it has become so pervasive in different industries in the U.S., especially in healthcare, right? It's because it's become an ideological issue. The left has made it into a human rights issue.
Yeah, that's it's a human rights thing. That one I know about. All right.
And it's also incredibly lucrative.
Shit. Here we go. Follow the money, baby. Follow the money. Big pharma. Big pharma.
Right now in the U.S., to make these big strides to protect our own children and young patients from being subjected to this.
And I'm so glad that Chloe did not mince words in that statement, that she was so straight with everyone, and it could not be more true, and it could not be more disappointing. She is right. follow the money, follow the politics. Those are the two reasons why this issue still exists and is so pervasive in America.
And honestly, and that explains why you're gonna have actual scientists like, you know, Neil deGrasse Tyson, that they're not gonna admit the basic factual biological reality that men would beat the shit out of women if they were in a fist fight.
The response to all of these studies, or actually lack thereof, is proof of all of that.
And the craziest part is, guess how much of that money was government funded? I wonder how much of the US aid money went into this shit. I wonder how much government got taxpayer dollars to pay all of these fucking degenerate people. I don't know, man. There's so much bullshit out there. Oh God, dude, it's insane.
This is willful avoidance that we are seeing in the States, and it is doing irreversible damage to an entire generation of children. And of course, in light of Detransitioner Awareness Day, which again was just yesterday, we have to talk about the children who were experimented upon. And then who, like Chloe, were completely left in the dust and left behind, because that is truly what happens on a regular basis in this country. And if you guys didn't know, while we're talking about all these other studies about post-surgery, all of that, there are no concrete studies on detransitioners, especially not detransitioning children like Chloe Cole. And in my personal opinion,
I feel like there are not a lot, right? I mean, I'm sure there are a lot, but I'm sure that there's a lot less detransitioners than transitioners.
This is partially because of that willful avoidance that we were just talking about, but also because much of detransitioning happens without medical interventions. Like, doctors aren't even seeing these patients, so they aren't counting. They are not being studied. They aren't offered support or guidance in the first place, like Chloe laid out, like all of these studies laid out. They don't usually get their surgeries reversed, and in many cases that is impossible. They just kind of stop taking their hormones and they try to go back to living a more normal life, and they socially detransition. And doctors just aren't involved. They rarely see this take place, and the numbers are not available, which is such a travesty, because Chloe said that this is happening every single day. And so doctors just aren't involved. Doctors rarely see this play out, and the numbers are not available, which is such a travesty. Now, another thing that Chloe told me, which truly shocked me, is that not only do we not keep records of—
That is insane. Holy shit. It's so wild to think about all of this.
And not only do people often not go to the doctor for detransitioning, but there is also no standard of care if somebody comes into detransition. They don't even know what to do if you come in and you say—
I mean, listen, I know, look, my brother's in med school. I know that he had to do specific, like, they do these training routines where basically you get like a fake patient, and the fake patient's an actor, and the actor is going to make believe that they have some pain, and they're going to describe what they're going through and whatever. And my brother's actor was acting as a transgender patient that got very offended every time my brother would use like incorrect pronouns or something, and that basically took over the entire test. That was like the whole test. It wasn't even about the disease anymore and the diagnostics. It was just about the social shit. And when he told that to me, I was like, so what? Like, what are you what? Huh? Dude. But yeah, anyway, that is an actual class in med school, you know? Whew. Holy shit. I mean, I just saw this crazy clip. Let's see if I could find it. Oh, God. Oh, my. You've got to be kidding me. How did I only find it in Spanish? No, dude.
No, it's cancer, but he has cancer on his left testicle.
Oh, shit.
I don't have testicles.
She's not a guy. His DNA says you're wrong.
Oh, God.
Frogs and snails and puppy dog tails. You've got male pseudo-hermaphroditism. See, we all start out as girls, and then we're differentiated based on our genes. The ovaries develop into testes and drop. But in about 1 in 150,000 pregnancies, a fetus with an XY chromosome, a boy, develops into something else, like you. Your testes never descended because you're immune to testosterone. You're pure estrogen, which is why you get heightened female characteristics. Clear skin, great breasts.
Oh my God, dude, stop!
Is a man.
Oh, fuck. Anyway, anyway, that happened. Another thing that happened, by the way, just today, because of how massive this issue became, this is a clip. Well, don't worry, we're not gonna watch the whole clip. About apparently they forced young girls to change into their gym clothes in front of a trans-identified male student. Like, they literally forced girls to change in front of a trans person as part of their, I don't know.
Our next participant is Nicole Georges.
Like, look at this.
Hello.
Like, I am all for giving rights to as many human beings as we can, but not when those rights literally override the rights of other people.
My name is Nicole Georges, and I'm here to demand that the locker rooms and bathrooms at District 109 be designated as biological male and biological female, as there is a gender-neutral option. The girls want their locker rooms and bathrooms back.
Bro, there's a gender-neutral option. Dude, there's a gender-neutral option, and they still force girls to change in front of trans people. What?
Want their privacy back. This is why I'm here tonight. My 13-year-old daughter's well-being and mental health and privacy is at stake. This nightmare began on February 5th when my daughter was using the girls' bathroom and was stunned that a biological male student was using it as well. She came home frightened and was extremely upset. I asked her to talk with her teachers and find out more information. She was told by the administration that a student can use the bathroom as well as a female locker room because they now identify as female. I was sent an email to the teachers involved and received a call from Principal Wegley. He verbally reiterated that under Joanna Ford's direction and their legal counsel that the student could use both the locker room and bathroom.
Dude.
I expressed that the school was in clear violation of federal policy. The Trump administration issued an executive order restricting biological males from participating in sports and accessing female locker rooms. That day, I filed a civil rights complaint on behalf of my daughter with the Department of Justice. It has now been referred to the Department of Education. A federal complaint has been filed with the district to protect the students. The situation went from bad to worse. A few days later, the male student was present in the girls' locker room. Feeling violated, the girls made the choice to not change into their PE clothes with a biological male student present. The next day, Assistant Principal Kathy Van Treese pulled the girls into their office, questioning them. The same day, Assistant Superintendent Joanna Ford...
Dude, you hear the anger in her voice. Like, it's unbelievable.
Kathy Van Treese and multiple teachers all came into the girls' locker room, making them change into uniform. This went on all week with the addition of Ginger Laugerman. My daughter refused to take part in having her privacy being violated. How...
These are 13-year-old kids, by the way.
Dare they? She ran out and called for me for help. Principal Wegley was offering my daughter a new P class. The answer was no. She is not changing for the remainder of the year, and she is not changing into another class. The girls just want their privacy, and they want their locker room back. There are gender-neutral options. This is my daughter.
That's the wildest part. There are literally gender-neutral options, and they still forced these 13-year-old girls to change in front of a biological male that they weren't comfortable with. What the fuck? This is abusive. This is insane.
Daughter's story and the story of many other young girls who have been forced at the difficult age to do something they know and most adults know is wrong. Do the right thing, Deerfield, and give these girls their locker room and bathrooms back. Allowing biological males to access girls' locker rooms sets a dangerous precedent that erodes the very foundation of female privacy and safety. By making this decision, the school board is not only disregarding the concerns of young female students and making their families, but also establishing a legal and policy framework that will make it increasingly difficult to protect the integrity of female-only spaces in the future.
She absolutely cooked. Absolutely cooked. Everyone's telling me to watch the full clip. All right, so I guess we'll watch the clip.
Charles
Excuse
Friedman,
me,
please.
if we can be respectful of everybody's time here, so.
Yes, thank you. I am happy to go after that one. Thank you, school board. From what I've heard, y'all are following the law, which is fantastic.
Oh my god, wait, and that was and the literal follow-up is someone wearing a pride flag, a trans flag. You've got to be kidding me. What is going on?
My name is Charlie Friedman. My pronouns are they, he. I am a trans person. I am the parent of a trans middle schooler. I am also the...
I don't think we should be referring to children as trans, because I don't think that they should have the right to make their mind up about that type of shit when they're children. Yikes. Yikes. What's the statistical chances of that, huh?
Director of Operations for Trans Up Front. It's a nonprofit organization fighting for trans rights. We partner with over 30 major organizations, including the ACLU, Lambda Legal, HRC, etc. We have a protest coming up for trans rights on March 30th, 1 p.m., Federal Plaza. We have and I would like to take a moment to talk about Illinois. We're all very lucky to live in a state that protects everyone here. Specific to today, Executive Order 2019-11, which my kid was standing next to Pritzker when he signed. Yes, an executive order from the governor. And in that order, it's called Strengthening Our Commitment to Affirming inclusive schools, which protects trans, non-binary, and gender non-conforming students from the type of bullying that this parent represents.
Oh my God. Dude.
Also, under the Illinois Human Rights Act, Section 3B-1, the use of restrooms, locker rooms, and changing rooms may not be restricted based on a student's physical anatomy or chromosomal sex. A student must be permitted to access restrooms or bathrooms, locker rooms, and changing rooms that align with their gender-related identity and without having to provide documentation or other proof of gender.
See, but the issue is, it's really easy to lie, you know? Really, really easy. Hey, can I tell you a story? I'll tell you a story. One of my best friends was in the hospital with his grandma. His grandma was sick, really sick. And so he was in the hospital. He was going to stay there overnight with his grandma. And a nurse came to him and said, it's a women-only floor or women-only wing, I don't know, and told him that he has to leave. He has to leave overnight because there are no men allowed in that wing or on that floor that night. So my friend said, with a straight face, I don't know how he fucking did it, bro. I don't know how he did it. He said, I identify as a female and I'm staying here with my grandmother. And the nurse immediately cowered away and said, of course! And that was it. I could not believe he did that shit. I was like shocked. Dude, also, he's like, this guy, he has a beard, okay? Like dude, listen, that was crazy. But anyway, it worked. That's the end of the story. Moving on.
Under this act, and it is stated, the discomfort or privacy concerns of other students, teachers, or parents are not valid reasons to deny or limit the full and equal use of those facilities based on a student's gender-related identity. Instead, any student, teacher, or other individual seeking more privacy should be accommodated by providing that individual with a more private option upon their request. Sounds like that would be a great option in this case for your kids.
Wow, dude, this is unbelievably insufferable.
Excuse me.
So the audience is that direction.
Excuse me. It's his.
Oh! Wait, did you catch that?
Audience is that direction.
Excuse me. It's her.
It's her. It's his. It's her. It's their. It's her hair there, ma'am, sir.
It's his time to talk. Right?
Oh fuck.
So.
Thank you. So if needed, we'd be happy to dig in, to contact our coalition, to make sure that the board is supported in doing the right thing for the right reasons and following Illinois state law. If you need my assistance, please do reach out. It's transupfrontil.com. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh my God, dude. All right, that's the end of the clip. Holy shit. Yeah, private school's the way to go. Sorry, bro. I don't know. I can't see a world I'd ever be sending my kids to public school. I really don't think it'll ever happen. Anyway, sorry, ma'am. I don't have trans friends. Buy my signs at LC Signs. My name's Tony. Holy fuck. This is wild. Oh my God. Like, it's so insane to see this shit. Oh my God.
This is what she said.
Detransition isn't really recognized even as a phenomenon within the medical community. There's no standards of care. There are not even any billing codes for doctors or nurses to use when dealing with those of us. So there's just not really much that they can do in the first place. Just how many children, how many young men and women end up coming back out of the system and having outcomes like mine.
But what is so vitally important to remember is that just because doctors don't see them or won't see them does not mean that these individuals like Chloe do not exist.
We're kind of getting an idea with how many of us are kind of just like coming out of the woods and talking about our experiences in increasing numbers just online. Like there are, I think,
and you know how much hate they get for it? Oh my God.
Tens of thousands, if not more, detransition individuals who are on social media right now and on different platforms talking with each other and connecting over their experiences and trying to find help.
These individuals, like Chloe, this entire community, especially of young people, they deserve attention and they deserve real care. Not affirming care, but genuine holistic care. They deserve to have their concerns and their regrets and their hopes heard at the bare minimum. And it's insane that when she went into the
like everyone is so on top and on board of giving oodles an infinite amount of care to someone that wants to transition from their biological sex to whatever the gender they identify as, but no care to people that want to transition back, especially for people that have transitioned when they were children. Like, what, it's impossible for them to make a mistake? Like, what, does it hurt your message so therefore you don't care if they literally die in the wind? Like, what is happening? Zero support system? Bro, honestly, I know I'm gonna say something that's gonna sound really callous and petty, But I think the people that are pushing this movement forward would rather that the detransitioners were part of the statistic than actually be there and say something that might go against their movement. And it's fucking awful.
Doctor and said, I'm not really happy with this. I'm confused. I'm regretting. They literally didn't even know what to tell her. They couldn't direct her to anything. Just said, oh yeah, that's kind of normal. That's insane that they just turn people away and say, yep, sorry, that's normal. It is insane that that does not happen in the first place. But based on everything that Chloe has been saying, it makes sense because again, it's politics and money. And detransitioners like her do not help either cause. They don't make the industry more money.
Nope.
They don't push the ideology forward. And that is
it.
why it is so important
That's
that stories like hers are
She's
heard.
right.
Like, I just want you all to realize that there is more attention and care and focus over whether we wear our retainers after we get our braces off than how you are doing in life after you chemically and surgically try to change your entire gender.
Crazy to even put that into words, but yeah, fuck.
That should not be the case. That is certifiably insane, and it begs the question of why. And so I know that I am really hammering this issue hard. I know that this is probably not the most pleasant episode, and it's more of a doom and gloom thing, but like I said, there is a lot of hope. It's just not in the US. Barely anything is happening in the US other than Trump's executive orders, which again, I'm not sure if this current Congress will be able to pass.
It'll pass. It'll pass. You'll see. It'll pass. It'll definitely pass. Maybe not the male-female one, but I do think that the trans people in women's sports is gonna pass, and I absolutely think that the other one is gonna pass too. The children transitioning. I think those two are gonna pass. Just because it's obscene that it's even done altogether.
Another good
at that point, like, it makes no sense. Like, it makes no sense.
thing is that there are currently 27 states who have imposed restrictions or full bans on transitioning minors, but there does need to be something on a federal level. This is a federal issue, but obviously that is still an uphill battle. So what needs to change in order to make that happen? Obviously, I think Americans are on our side. 70% of Americans think that men shouldn't be competing in women's sports. That would obviously make you think that the majority of Americans think that this is a ridiculous issue, a dangerous issue that has been pushed way too far, but our government is not listening. Now, Chloe referenced all of the studies that we covered in this episode. She also covered one that we did not, which is the prolific Hillary Cass report out of the UK, and she said that we need one that is just as much of a bombshell right here in the US. We cannot really base this and change people's minds off of a study that only has 1,500 participants, even though that still was a shocking and damning survey. We do need something like Hillary Cass and like this Oxford Journal study. A bombshell study that is all-encompassing, that includes detransitioners in their story, one that is simply too big for people to ignore. And Chloe really believes that in addition to all of the advocacy work, all of the stories that she and so many others are telling, that will be the way to change the culture in a massive way. And
honestly, I think awareness is important. Also, I think that, like, dude, you know how everyone makes fun of woke TV shows when they push ideologies into TV shows and shit? I personally hate when they do it because I generally think it goes against the storytelling. It's like, instead of actually telling a good story, they're just gonna push shit in. But when it comes to children's media, I don't know. I really think there should be, like, virtually none of it. Like, you should not be pushing ideologies down people's throats, especially children, when they are so confused anyway. It's wild. It's wild that we got this far.
Simply could not agree more. I think that she made an absolutely fantastic point. But for now, for those of us who do not have the power to start a study that covers hundreds of thousands of participants and covers detransitioners and figures out a way to study detransitioners, for those of us normal people who just care about this issue, the most important thing that we can do is to continue sharing the stories of people like Chloe, to continue spreading this message. And another thing that I want you guys to think about and to consider that is possibly more important than anything else I have said in this entire episode is that you need to keep pouring into and supporting the people in your lives that are struggling. Because real care, not affirmative social justice care, it begins at home, in our communities, with the people that we touch on a daily basis. It is the kind of care—
Whoa, I do not touch any transitioning children. I just want to lay that out here, all right? I just want to make sure everyone is aware. I do zero touching.
That is truly loving, that is truly empathetic, that is preventative, and actually addresses the root causes of all of these issues. And above all else, that is what those of us as individuals who feel very small in this huge monster of an issue, that is what we can focus on, and that is the change that we can make in the world.
I don't know, man. She is right. It definitely all starts at home. You have to teach your children values that you approve of, and be there for people around you that are struggling. I agree with all of these things, but if there's one thing I could say, I really would like to undo the whole concept of trans women in women's sports or whatever. I think we need to abolish that. Because I think that there shouldn't be separate sports for men and women. I want all-out bloodbaths. Bring back the fucking Colosseum, goddammit. Let the Roman Empire's blood run through our veins. I'm just saying, break out the lions. It'll be crazy. Huge drama. Lions and bulls. Men and women. Give them swords. Gladiuses even. And it'll be great. I'm excited. Battle Royale. Are you not entertained? Hunger Games, those motherfuckers. 100%. Infinite content. Definitely subscribe for more downfalls. Holy shit, this was dark. I learned some things that honestly, it's good I know them, but damn, I didn't enjoy them for a minute there. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you in the next one. Stay weird, fam. Like, subscribe, and this video was streamed live on kick.com/Nuxanor. See you there. Stay weird, fam.